today, as we continue our mini-series on prayer, I thought we'd think about the act of confession. Last week we talked about adoration. Now this week let's talk about confession in our act of prayer. And in my book, this handbook of prayer I've been going through, today's scripture on confession goes as this. It's Hosea 14, 1 and 2. I return to the Lord my God, for I've stumbled because of my iniquity. I take my words with me and return to the Lord, saying, take away all iniquity and receive me graciously, that I may offer the fruit of my lips. And then it says in the text to ask the Spirit to search your heart and reveal any areas of unconfessed sin. Acknowledge these to the Lord and thank Him for His forgiveness. You know, the practice of confession is so important, and yet so many times this may be the most missed one. You see, a lot of times when it comes to sin in our lives, we feel guilty, we feel bad. If we recognize it, we may know it and know we don't need to do it. But so many times we fail to pause in our lives and actually take assessment of how we're acting, the attitude of our hearts, and ask ourselves, are these things that God is pleased with? But see, confession is not all about guilt. The thing that the text shows us today, and the thing I want you to hear, is that the reason we confess is because we're reminded of the graciousness of God and how He always receives us back to Himself, no matter how far we get from Him. And that's so important to remember, because confession is not meant to be a guilt trip. Confession is meant to be the prodigal son returning home, running to the Father with open arms. And actually it was the Father that was running out to the Son with open arms. And so the reality is that God runs to us. He has His arms open. It doesn't give us an excuse to continue on sinning, but what it does, it allows us to know that the practice of confession is all about His grace, acknowledging His grace over our lives so that it empowers us to move more toward God and away from things that separate us from God. So when's the last time you sat down and you evaluated your heart, your actions, and you actually confessed before Him? Because here's the deal, that's important. It's an important part of our prayer life. Don't miss it. Make the time to go before God and feel His grace upon your life as you return to Him.